Hey everyone, good evening. A little bit of technical hiccups in the beginning of a stream. Always keeps you on your toes, you know. How's everyone doing? Hey Carl! Hey Drizzy! First, oh my god. Such a classy comment. Adrian! Hey, how are you doing? Hold on, let me... Who are we going to be talking about today? Let's get them up. Portfolio review. So today... Carl, you're one of them. And then Kristoff. And then Adam as well. We'll see how much time we have, right? Because I'm pretty good at making lengthy talks. Especially looking at the previous one. I'm always surprised by how long they go for. Let's have a look here. No sneak peeks yet. Second? Oh shit. Always coming in with the lies. How's everyone's day been? Had a pretty good day, you know. It's been rainy, but I did go out for like a really long walk right after we got some new sneak peeks out there, you know, for the articles for people inside of the community. Trying to go to like a feedback round before I make those public, but it was good to get some feedback already. And then what else have I been doing? I've been just writing a bunch of stuff, you know. I know it sounds boring for an environment artist, but yeah, I've been just writing a bunch of stuff. And then yeah, the other thing I'm doing is the course, right? Taking my time with that, because it's my first time doing it, and it's a lot of back and forth, a lot of iteration. But all that said, I am getting the itch back to dive into some more work, you know, dive back into my medieval scene. Yeah, what else is happening? I was actually thinking about joining the challenges. We currently have team challenges that are open if you're interested in joining. Let me just quickly get the link for all you. And I was actually debating about joining myself, you know? I was like, do I have the time? Do I do it? But I think I'm gonna leave it until the next one. But you can check it out if you want with that link that I just put into the chat. Whether I'm gonna commit to it or not, like, I'm looking forward to what people are gonna build into it. So always get some really interesting results out of the team challenge. Raj, when is your 30-second portfolio review part 2 coming? Well, you had your chance, man. That was only the 30 seconds, like the only 30 seconds of portfolio review you're ever gonna get in your life. Okay, maybe not your life, but... I mean, you stepped away from environment art anyway, right? You're doing cinematics now. Oof. Lots of forest fires here in Seattle. Oh, shit. I hope you're doing all right. This October smoke is no joke. Hope your lungs are doing okay. Yeah, I hope so too, Drizzy. I am not up to date with the news at all, but I hope that it's not going to last for too much longer then. Big oof. Exactly, Adam. Yeah. Let's see. Are we all set up? I had some issues with my pen before. No. Oh, good. Sweet. Yeah, how has everyone else's day been? Just, I mean, apart from probably choking on like forest fires. That was horrible. Just work, I guess, for most of you. Did everyone see like the new update to ArtStation? I just stumbled on it like earlier today. I don't know when they updated it, but like the top bar looks a little bit different. I mean, it's mostly the top bar, and like the blue is slightly darker, you know, because you can actually see the difference because the main body of the page is still like a little lighter compared to like the pro up here, and like I don't know where did I see it? Like if you go to your profile, just the blue on like all the links looks a little bit different. I don't know. Looks cool, I guess. This looks way cleaner though than before. Instead of having it all like laid side to side, looks way better. Dries, you just got back from Disneyland? Oh shit, man, how was it? Costas got scared. I thought there was a problem with ArtStation. It's not that big of a deal, you know. It's not. It doesn't look like a problem to me. Find an artist. Okay, that's under jobs now. Adrian currently working on a project that will be uploaded to the Unreal Engine Marketplace. Oh, okay. Will be my first upload. Here's the link to my ArtStation. As far as I'm aware, I blocked all the links coming in from YouTube, so sorry about that. I'm just trying to avoid like a bunch of spammers, you know? Sorry about that. I'm trying to think, like... I guess I can check it out after if you just hit me up on ArtStation and just send it to me on like a DM there. Curious to still check it out though. Trust you got a lot of treats and met Jack Skellington. Hell yeah. Sounds awesome, man. Did I tell you the story about me going to Disneyland when I was like a little kid? I think I did. But yeah, my parents took me to Disneyland when I was like really small and I absolutely hated it. I have no recollection of it ever going there. Like the only thing that I can remember is standing underneath what was it? I think it was an X-Wing. That's the only thing that I can remember. Apparently we had like breakfast with like the whole Disney crew, and like Mickey Mouse came up to me and I was crying the entire time. I have no recollection of it whatsoever. Must have been such a disastrous, or like such a, I don't know, such a PTSD moment for me that my brain was just like, nah, we're just gonna forget all about this, you know? Like, we're not even gonna think about this in the future. Going as a little kid sounds horrible, to be honest. So much standing, walking, and loud noises. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the weirdest thing, you know? Like it was just, I don't know, just the creepy dolls, I guess. No, I mean it makes sense. Technically not creepy, but I can see how you can find them creepy. Sorry. Yeah, what did we do? I mean, there was also apparently like this. I was talking to my mom and dad about this like quite recently, and I told them like, oh yeah, dad couldn't go with me on the ride because he was too tall, because he's close to 2 meters. So I think they blocked him from going into like Space Mountain or something like that. But apparently that wasn't true. It was because I was too tiny. Apparently, so. The dolls do be creepy. I never went as a kid, but I'm glad I didn't. Yep. Save yourself like a bunch of horror stories there. Raj, are you just realizing that you haven't like visited my profile at all? Is that what you're doing right now? Or is this your way of like self-promoting on my stream? What are you doing here? What? On Space Mountain, if you're too small, you get your head stuck for the whole ride? What? Oh my god. Okay. Okay, I'm glad I didn't go in there then. Yeah, that was my first and only experience with Disneyland, and I think I fucked it up for like my siblings too, because my parents never went back with them either. So yeah. Sorry. All right, cool. Let's have a look at what we're actually here to discuss, right? Let's dive into some portfolio reviews. Enough chit chat. I do want to lead out with like, if you have any questions or if you want to pitch in with like any thoughts of your own, feel free to do so. I love to have a discussion in the chat and see what you all think about it too, so that we can just bounce ideas around, right? Like, what do you think, or what do you think is not right? What do you think is a good shout? Just let me know. There's a slight bit of delay on the stream. I need to fix that for the next time, but we'll make it work. So feel free to pitch in if you want to. First off, we're gonna start out with Kristoff. Let's have a look here. Where is my little post-it that I normally use to keep me on track? Oh, there we go. No, that's not the one. Never mind. Okay, doing it off the cuff then. First of all, what I like to look at is just like the first impressions, you know? Like what your portfolio looks like. Let's move just a little bit closer. What your portfolio looks like, the first impressions, what you're selling yourself as, right? Like the headline that we can see up here is super important for that. So I'm just gonna have a little look. Yeah, you got environment artist up here, right? And the only thing that I can see on here is environment art, so that's a great start. Three interesting looking environments here though. Just having a look at the thumbnails, you know. First impressions are overall really good. You know, like they look like well-made scenes, like just from looking at the thumbnail. We're gonna dive into it like in a little bit, but yeah, looks pretty interesting. I think from what, without having to look at the actual scene itself, there is probably a thing that you can do to make this thumbnail more interesting. If you've made like the entire scene, there's probably like a more interesting way of like doing this thumbnail. Possibly for this one too. It's just straight on, you know. Maybe we can discover something different that we can do with that. I don't actually mind this one, you know, like it's quite nice. But what I tend to say like almost every time that we do these portfolio reviews is that I kind of like the approach of not showing everything in your portfolio or like in the thumbnail, so that you can kind of hint and tease at what it is without showing it off completely and giving everything away. So what could be cool, what I'm thinking about right now for this one is like zooming in on the mic and I don't know, maybe having it from like maybe you're looking at it like this, right? So that you see like the mic is taking up like a lot of the space in the thumbnail, and then you have like the red curtains back, something like that. And when you open it, you see that it's not just like that little section, but there's actually more to it than that. We'll have a look. Need to see if my Epic pen isn't in the way. Okay. But good start though. I like what's going on here, you know? Got the old style bedroom, autumn scene. Doesn't really feel like autumn to me, but let's dive into it. I'm actually gonna start with this one. You know, switch it up. Okay. A small natural scene made with megascans and speed tree. It was a good opportunity to use some basic knowledge about shaders and particles in practice. Okay. So currently what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to determine what you've made, right? Because from this little description, like I can't really... I know that you use megascans, right? And I know that you use speed tree. So I know that you've made trees yourself, at least in part, because megascans also has trees, remember? But what I'm seeing here definitely looks a bit more self-made. So I'm guessing that speed tree is what you use to make like all the trees, and potentially like these stumps or some of the other stuff that you see in the scene. Let me see if I can get a static shot. So potentially some of this, right? That's from speed tree, I'm guessing, from megascans. But you see what I'm trying to do, right? Like I'm trying to guess. So you need to remove the guesswork with this kind of stuff. Like you should say like, oh, I use speed tree for this. I use megascans for these assets, and then I use speed tree for these assets, and then maybe showcase the assets that you made like all the way down at the bottom of the post, so that you can get an instant feel of like, oh, this person knows how to deal with speed tree assets, right? Because we're looking at how much you can do yourself when it's like a scene that's composed of like multiple things and you haven't made everything yourself. There's nothing bad with that, right? It's just about the transparency of you saying what you did and what you didn't do. So that would be my first thing to clear up, and that will help a lot already with like what you've made here. It looks interesting though. I like... Video is quite nice too. I like this shot though. Like a little bit farther away. Think about the little turds as well, right? Like don't have it all centered. Have it like slightly offset, where you can have the tunnel like here, and then you have like the river coming out like that. Think about it more in that way. Even though I don't mind this shot particularly, because there's like a nice imbalance going on with like a thicker section of trees here, and then you have like a more sparsely populated tree line here, which kind of makes it feel like asymmetrical, which is quite nice. I like that. So that would be the recommendation when thinking about shots, right? And then the next thing that I would say is maybe, because the river itself is a focal point, right? Like you're doing a lot with the river, like it's almost like really prevalent in every shot. You need to go a little bit further than what you did here, like really layer it up at the edges of the terrain, like really make it look like a river, where you have Because you have certain rocks here, like occasionally, right? Like have them stick out, like on the water edge. And like build sort of islands where like here's still a section with like a tree standing here, or like a tree stump, you know? Like a little section here that leans against the water, like a little island, and then have like a more gradial ramp over here. Just to create like a little bit, again, like in the previous shot, like a little bit of an asymmetry, and also create like a realistic feel to the river itself. Because right now the river feels like a very basic river, right? Like it's a spline or maybe even a plane in Unreal. But you need to go a little bit farther than that. Like really try to mimic what you see in your references. And I think the biggest thing here, and I've kind of been keeping it for last, right? I'm trying to condense my time with like the individual breakdowns, is just the lighting. I know that you're trying to go for like this kind of misty, moody kind of setting, but it almost makes it feel like this is a stalker type game. It's a bit, I don't know, maybe that's what you're going for, right? If that's what you're going for, freaking awesome. Because it kind of feels like that, you know? Like it has like a very dreary mood. But if I read Autumn Scene, like if I click on it, like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see like lots of different colors and like lots of different shades in the trees, you know? But this is just, it's very monotone in the color scheme. There's not a lot of variety going on. Maybe that's something to think about as well. But that's more up to you, you know? If this is the sort of vibe that you wanted to go for, then it's fine. I was just expecting something different out of it. Roger's saying an additional shot of self-made things laid out in a breakdown matter would be good to see for this. Yep, exactly. Like that's what I'm missing, and that's what I was looking for in the beginning, right? Where I can just scroll through the post and see like, oh, I made all this. Cool. Now I know that I can kind of ignore all the stuff that you didn't make, because I mean it's just mega scans anyway, right? And then focus on the things that you did make. To get like an accurate feel of what you did or didn't do, you know. I like all the foliage on the ground though. Looks nice and dense. Yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. Like, nothing major, you know. I think the scene itself is quite interesting. You can score like a couple of easy wins with like a couple of small tweaks, but yeah, overall good scene. Okay, let's go. Oh shit, I forgot to check when it was made. 7 months ago. Okay. Interesting. Oh, let's see if we can answer some questions to the chat in the meantime. So, can Unreal Engine alone be enough for an environment artist? Let's have a look. 90 said something about that. Look at job requirements for environment art positions to get an idea of what tools you need to use. In general, you would need to know a modeling package or some sort of texturing package. Yep, I agree. Like even if you were going for like a level artist position, where you're basically only building locations in the engine itself, it is still, I would say it is still required to have modeling, at least, you know? Because there are going to be times where you kind of need to do that. Or where you're going to be required to do it. So, currently, Unreal Engine alone for an environment artist, no. You need more than that, for sure. Even with all the cool modeling packages that they added quite recently. All right, back to Kristoff's work. So A recreation of Club Silencio. Yeah, this is good. So I've created everything except for a couple of slightly changed materials from Megascans, like the wallpaper, wooden planks on the scene, the red walls, and curtain fabric. That's a lot of the scene, you know? Let me make sure, right? So, wallpaper, wooden planks, red walls, and the curtain fabric. Wow, that's a cool shot. That is a great shot. I like that. There's some really interesting shots in here, you know? Like, and this is what I kind of hinted at the thumbnail. Like, if we just go back, just have a quick glance at the thumbnail itself, you're trying to show off like the scene, right? Like, I made all this and you're trying to impress with the scope. But I think what could be more impressive is if you take maybe a shot like this, you know, make that a thumbnail. Something that's like, oh, okay. You're not really sure what it is from like the get-go, but it sparks your interest. Or even something like this. I'm thinking maybe I wouldn't do this. Even though I really like the shot, the only reason why I wouldn't use it for a thumbnail is because it's too dark. It would kind of get lost. That's also another thing that I try to look for in my thumbnails, is something that really pops out, you know? Like a thumbnail is there to really capture the attention from like the get-go, and contrast is a really good thing to do so. Which is why I immediately gravitated towards like something like this, you know, with the red fabric in the back. Looks freaking awesome. But yeah, the scene itself looks nice though. Gotta be careful with some of the normal details, you know, like this wallpaper, for example, is a little bit too intense. Like, it really has like a really thick like normal on it, which makes it feel like it's almost like 90s 3D, you know? I like what you're doing, you know, like, Raj is gonna love me for this, but I like what you're doing with these shots because of the aspect ratio. You know, like the aspect ratio works on these shots because it goes more towards a cinematic instead of this, right? Like, this doesn't feel like a good shot. Like, try to keep the same aspect ratio and like try to tilt or like move the camera in such a way where you can still get the same shot, but like you get that cinematic aspect ratio, right? Yeah, and if you apply that to everything, it's a tiny thing, you know, like maybe this is just me, but like when I'm scrolling and I see like the black edges like bouncing all over, I'm like, oh, just keep it consistent, you know, because you got some killer shots in here, like honestly. Like, yeah, some of these shots are really, really great. Just keep it consistent with that aspect ratio and then you're all good. Yeah, this is a nice scene, honestly. GPU light mass and dynamic lighting. Nice. Red walls and curtain fabric. So the only thing that I'm thinking about is you mentioned wood planks. So I'm assuming that those are the wood planks from the stage itself, right? And then the rest of it, like all the architectural details and like everything else, you've made yourself. That's my assumption, right? again, it would be nice to see kind of a breakdown. But yeah, some interesting stuff. So Straight Cheeks is asking sort of what we've been discussing right now, yeah, right? So do y'all think this guy modeled everything himself in the scene and painted? Not everything, but like a large part of it. You know, like he's saying that he used Megascans for the wallpaper, wooden planks, red walls, and curtain fabric. And other than that, like all the architectural pieces, they're actually highly reusable, right? So like if we look at something like this, you can reuse like a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I can totally see Kristoff making it completely. Yeah, this is a cool scene. Great job. Feels really nice. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the main page. And then we have this one, the old style bedroom. Nice. It's nice to see the progression, you know? Like that's what I always love about like people's portfolios, is that you can kind of see a progression from like how far they come. Let's first check the description again. So most of the assets are done myself, but there are some Megascan additions like the floor lamp, bowls, picture frame, sculpture, chair, plants, and wooden chest. Again, it makes it really hard to determine. Wait, hold on before I say something. It makes it really hard to determine what you did yourself, right? So, because I'm trying to constantly keep in mind, like, okay, floor lamp, bowls, picture frame, sculpture, chairs, plants, and wooden chests are not made by you. So, I'm assuming that a lot of this is made by you. And I'm doing this thought exercise as well for like potential recruitments, right? Where you can just say like, hey, look, this is stuff that I used, and this is the stuff that I made myself in like a picture down in the description or like in the post itself. Makes it super clear. I can look at the individual pieces and I'm like, awesome, you know? That being said, because we went over that already, I like what's on display though. Like, very nice materials. Let's see. So, all photos and paintings are gathered from the internet. Makes sense. Very nice material work. Even though this feels, I mean, I'm nitpicking, you know, like that feels a little bit too plasticky almost. But like overall, like the total picture, right? Like if you zoom out, looks very nice. Yeah, some interesting stuff going on, like some fabrics as well, like some simulations, I'm assuming. Oh, I didn't actually look at this, so... Blender, could probably done with some Blender simulations. Oh, okay. I'm trying to read into the story a little bit, right? Because it is an amazing scene. But okay. Oh my god, the title of this. Why would anyone read that, you know? A poorly written play in 4 acts for actors in crisis. Desperativo. You know, like sort of hinting that it's all about like the misfortunes of that actress, you know? A little bit tongue-in-cheek. I don't mind. Specially selected chocolate. So has some morphine. Got some injection. I think there was a needle on her bedstand. Yeah. Okay. It's quite interesting, right? Because there's like a lot of subtlety that you don't necessarily notice from the beginning, which isn't like a bad thing at all. Like I kind of like it, you know? Like this just looks like, I mean, it's an old-fashioned bedroom, right? But it doesn't look like anything is really out of the ordinary in this. You can kind of see with the big mirror and like some of the stuff gathered that there was an actress here, you know? Like it's kind of how I relate to it because of the movies. So yeah, I like that it's more subtle than I would usually approach it. Not just a diorama. Bad career. She already realized that her lover left her for good. Yeah, it's interesting. Lots of cool props. Lots of interesting stuff going on. It's yeah, it's tricky, you know, because my gut feeling says that it would be nice to be a little bit more in your face with the story itself, because I think the story itself is quite interesting, you know, but like the hints that lead to it are like super subtle. I don't know, I'm quite torn with this one, gotta be honest. Because I'm also used in a way to also to make everything like a little bit more apparent than it was before, right? Like because we had to be really on the nose with some of that stuff when we were working on Far Cry, for example. 90 saying the door frame looks a little bit too thin. Yep. Yeah, they probably will be bulkier, right? Usually they're ornate. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good shout. And I feel like there's a lot that you can do with finer decal work, you know? I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's already like in a really, really solid place and like awesome to see it. But I'm kind of missing like a layer of like dirt and scratches on the floor and like stuff moving about, you know? I don't know, it's fairly small, but that's the only thing that I could really say. Like those are the two things, right? Like a proper decal pass where you're really doing like a bunch of the polish work, where you're putting like the dots on the eye and like having like a little bit of grunge on like the wallpaper, like this sort of stuff, like the warping of it already does a good job. You can kind of push that a little bit with just having like some of it also peel off, you know? Something that hints at how long she's gone. We kind of have the apple here, right? Which is, it's not really in a rotten state. It's turning slightish brown. So what is that? Like hours? 1 day? You know, there's like things that you can do. Things that you can do with that. And like, how did she leave? You know, did she leave from her own volition? Like, did she just leave everything? Did she? I don't know. There's so many things that you can do here, right? Like, yeah. Just, I mean, there's like, yeah, a ton of stuff that you can do there. Like, did she take her own life, for example, or did she Did you get kidnapped? Maybe there was like a love triangle thing happening there. I don't know. There's like cool stuff that you can do, right? Or because hinting at like a misfortunate actress, like a bad career and addictions, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, nobody still linger on that too much. Overall, it's an amazing scene, though. I love all the materials that you put together. Like all the assets look really interesting too. So I'm curious what you're gonna do with the next one. I would say if there is one thing that I want to say, like if you want to push into like some sort of area, I would say take the bedroom and maybe try to condense the story into like one focal point where you have the mirror, for example, right? I would probably make that the focal point of the scene and really try to condense the story in there with like having the morphine shot there, having that box of chocolates that you had, right? Like all those nice things. I would probably condense it and like just make that the focal point of the scene, and then pick one prop and like really make it like super nice. Yeah, other than that, it's looking awesome, Kristoff. Thanks so much for sharing your portfolio as well. I really appreciate it. And then yeah, let me know if that helped in the community chat. Ba-ba-ba. And yeah, thanks so much for pointing it out, 90. And straight cheeks. Some good pointers there. Adam, Tim's got a point. 21 by 9 is nice. Yeah. I wonder who taught me that, you know? All right. Next up, Carl. Let's have a look. So, first impressions, as always, right? Environment artist, you got a nice subway on your banner, looking awesome. Yeah, I'm just curious to dive in, you know? Let's have a look at some thumbnails as well. Let's see, like which one currently stands out the most, you know? It's so difficult because I've seen your work before and I'm kind of a little bit biased, you know? So I kind of know what you've done already. But I would say obviously your latest piece just looks so nice. No, I kind of want to go into that one immediately. The Victorian Manor looks interesting as well. And then maybe the subway. The reason why I say maybe is because already on the banner, getting so nitpicky from the get-go, but like already on the banner, I was like, okay. Like the foundations are there for like a subway, right? But I would love to see like more stuff on it, like you have the walls and you have the ceilings and you have like some pipes going on, but I don't think the pipes are textured. And then you got like really long handrails and it just, I don't know, there's something, it feels unrealistic from just looking at it. So that's why I said like, maybe, I don't know. I'm more interested in the Victorian Manor because of that reason, because the assets in it seem like a bit more interesting. So let's have a look. I'll start with that one then. Final year project. Learning industry workflows, using Unreal, making use of tileable and trim materials, to name a few. The biggest issue was scope. Oh, okay. Created a majority of the assets and textures, but downloaded some from Quixel for the curtain, carpet, and floor materials. Carl! Scope! Dude, no wonder you struggle with it. Don't think I've seen this one though. Let's have a look. Yeah. So tricky, right? Like the camera movements. Like, I've also always struggled with them. It's been a while since I've done any of it, but I think the first one is kind of nice, you know? Like it has like a nice flow to it and like kind of stuff. But then this one is like, oh, off to the races. Anyway, I'm not gonna keep talking about like the cameras because I mean, not too much about cameras either, you know? But let's have a look at the scene itself though. So this is like the overview shot of the scene, right? Now, where do I focus on? I think that's the main issue of this one. That is just, it's a little bit all over the place, you know? Because you have like lights in so many places, like here, here, here. You have like these clusters and this cluster, and you have this cluster and this cluster, right? Like, and it all just creates like small distractions all over the place, where what you probably should have done, I mean, the wall candles are not that big of a deal, honestly. Like mainly these other pockets. What you probably should have done instead is just say like, hey, look, I want to have like one section of the story happening here, right? Like one point here, and then maybe the second one, I don't know what you want to do with the story, it's kind of happening here, right? And then you just cluster like all these other sections, like if I just like black it out a little bit really quickly. Just to prove the point. And then you probably increase the intensity of this, right? If you then increase the intensity of these two sections, then you have two decent focal points of the scene. And that's where a lot of the interesting stuff is happening anyway. So to me, that seems like the logical approach to it. And then the wall candles, they're not too intrusive, because if you light up like the other ones, like these two sections, then it's going to create a nice contrast between the two, where you're not even going to pay that much attention to these wall candles, for example. Instead of this, right? Like even if I were to say, I'm going to remove all this stuff, right? Even with just these black spots, you can already see what that's doing. You know, like it's pushing the focus point like more inwards, like into the environment. Compared to this. Doesn't mean that you can't do anything with it, right? Like what you could also do is keep some of these ones on the staircase, because they're kind of logical, but also just scale them down in terms of intensity so that they're not as apparent as these ones. Just playing with the lighting a little bit. Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's cool that you made it, you know, like no doubt about that. But the scope of the scene is a little bit too big, you know? And I think some of the other stuff kind of suffers from it because you try to go for like something bigger. Like you made the quality of it suffer. Like the individual quality. Where I feel like if you've just taken like, I don't know, maybe like the one screenshot. I don't know what would be a good one. Like imagine if we have this screenshot, but you don't see any of this. Right? So that you just see the staircase leading up to this important spot and you have like the important spot down here. Maybe for composition reasons, like push that out a little bit more. Again, rule of thirds that we discussed before, you know? I'm always trying to think about like, okay, maybe we have like the scene up here, you know, that's, we draw the rule of thirds, like the scene, that's number 1 here. I have number 2 downstairs. So I'm trying to think in terms of like, okay, that's number 1 and that's number 2. Right, and then you can kind of play with the camera or the composition or both if you need to. And make sure that they kind of hit those spots. Almost. It doesn't have to be like 100% exact, right? But if they're close to it, you're going to feel it. And then if you just focus on that one camera angle, you could have done so much more, you know? Because now you spend like a whole bunch of time on like dressing up all the top floor, which no one's really ever going to see. And then just really make all of this stuff shine, you know? That would have been awesome. Not to say that this isn't awesome, man. Like, it's good that you finished it, you know? It's definitely like it's a learning exercise, you know? Like you're gonna learn from this anyway. Oh, this is good, man. Let's have a look at another piece. This is a tricky one, right? Like going back to the thumbnails just really quickly for the Victorian manor. Maybe in this one it makes sense to take a section from the main room, because right now I thought that it was just like the single room, but then the most impressive room is kind of like to the back of me, right? Like if I'm standing in this thumbnail right now, like this one, maybe in this case it makes sense to do have like a snapshot of the bigger room, maybe like on some of the details, and do something there, you know? I just want to show this off, you know? Posted last month. Won the challenge with that as well. It was awesome seeing you do this, man. Like, honestly. Just, the perseverance and, like, all the feedbacks and, it was amazing to see you do that. Dagmawi, hey, thank you so much for asking that question. So, there is something that I have been setting up. It's not yet finalized, but you can add your portfolio here. The only reason why I say it's not finalized is because you can't see where you are in the queue yet, but I'll work on that later. But yeah, it would be awesome to if you wanna get some if you wanna get your portfolio reviewed, then there's now an option to do that, and I'll keep looking into making it a bit better supported, you know, so that you can actually see where you are in the queue. Recommendation from my side: keep it to environment art portfolios, you know, or prop portfolios. I don't do character art, or I don't really do tech art. I could, but I prefer to stick to my comfort zone, you know, because that's where I can give you the most inspiration and like the most feedback. Andre, thanks so much for the sub. I appreciate it. And yeah, going back to this, thanks so much for the shout out as well, Carl. Appreciate it. Let's have a look. I want to look at this. I haven't looked at it properly yet. Yeah, that's nice. Nice one, man. If I'm gonna give like a quick round of feedback, it's probably to try and push the contrast between like the metallic surface and like the rust. Because now I know that there's like a little bit of roughness variation, right? But I would try to exaggerate a little bit what is painted and what is not painted, so that you can get like an accurate feel, or like maybe not accurate, but like a more interesting feel for it. Because now they kind of are on the same spot, you know. That would be like one small thing that I could add. Oh god, it's such a small thing. Do I even go there? Like, let me see. The thing that I was gonna say is, if you're doing these screws, whoa, these screws, it's a small thing, you know. I just angle this one slightly different, angle this one that way, and then have the one in the middle like straight, you know. Small stuff like that. And then another thing that I noticed is this. You baked it down as a normal. I would actually, looking at the depth of the normal map, I would actually given it like a little bit of geometry. The reason why I say that is because you have this zoomed in shot. Like, I don't know. Like, this doesn't feel correct to me. Like, it feels like it needed a bit of geometry support. Yeah. Nice job so far, though. You just, yeah, keep working on the textures, right? I think you've done a really stellar job at like this peeling feeling of like the rust, you know, where it's kind of flaking off. I think you really nailed that. Like a very vulnerable and like small section of it is kind of peeling off. Super nice, Carl. Great job. The lighting as well. It's quite nice. Sorry to go back into that. Just showing this off, you know. That's what I, oh man, that's what I keep telling people, you know? Like, when I'm playing with lighting, I'm always painting with lighting. Like, I know which part of my prop is gonna look good, so I'm just gonna shine a light on that, you know? Like, I'm just gonna highlight that with a nice light. Just put it on there. It's a good job on that. I know I say this whenever I see like a prop. Have a look at Hannah Watts' portfolio for backgrounds. Again, small thing, but have like a background that has a little bit of a texture to it instead of just floating in like the gray ether. It always helps a little bit. It's a small touches, you know? Otherwise, a great work, Carl. I'm gonna do one more. I'll pick the tunnel. Let's go for it. 9 months ago. I used Unreal Engine 5 and making use of Lumen and had to go out of water shaders. Water looks nice, man. Water looks good. I think the only thing, yeah, it's kind of like I said before, you know, like you kind of want to have like transitions between certain sections where, like on the bottom edges of the wall, you would probably have like a little bit of a trim, you know, kind of the same that you're doing here, but maybe there's like another section of a trim. This piping, you can do a lot with that. Don't make it disappear just in like Let me pause out for a second. But just don't like try to really focus on like the details, right? Like try to take an extra step, like even just cutting in a hole in the geometry and just having it go in there already looks like way better than just having it go into like it flat, right? Because it's relatively easy to get a fairly basic scene together, but then it's more like, okay, how are you gonna approach it? And like, how are you gonna layer stuff on top of it that's gonna make it yours, you know? And this is also, because this is from a course, right? I have no idea what this course is about. I mean, what this course, the end result of the course looks like, but that's what you should always do with a course, is like, you learn from it, and then you're like, okay, cool, how can I make it my own? Yeah, there's so much that you can do, right? Like little decals here. How did the water get in? Maybe the water is like seeping in from the ceiling, right? Maybe this pipe is burst and it's also leaking like water. Maybe there's some water drips here. There's like a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it. And then do like the same kind of piping. Like this is probably, ideally it should be kind of modular, you know, that you can just take a section, extend it out, like maybe it goes back into the wall over there, maybe it goes down, you know, like make it look interesting with the pieces that you already have. It could be something simple like breaking off the railing here, letting it start again here, having like a big advertisement here, you know. I'm thinking about it in a way of like just breaking up the scene and like the, how would you say it? Like the, you don't want it to look like a modular piece, right? You actually want it to be like sort of asymmetric. That's kind of what I hinted at the first one, like the one that we had a look at from Kristoff. Like he had, like one piece was like densely forested, the other side was like sparsely forested. So here you can kind of do the same thing and just have like one big ad over here. And I know that you're trying to do that with the graffiti, right? But I think you need to be a little bit bolder with that. And then because this ad is in the way, like the railing is going to be cut short. Cool. And then that breaks up the whole thing, you know? Yeah. It is a great piece though. Like it builds like a really good foundation. You just have to go like a little bit farther, right? Kind of hesitant to do this, but I'll do it regardless. You know, I know that this is the only thing that's relatable here is that it's like an underground tunnel, you know? Because you're trying to go for something more realistic. Where I was going like all out like cyberpunk, you know, like that's what I wanted to do. But I was also thinking about it in the same way where I was like, okay, even with the roof panels, right? Like you can make these roof panels like all straight, but that wouldn't look good. So I left one out here, I slanted one here. And it's those little kind of things that really make it feel alive, you know? And if you keep doing that all over the place, like all these wires, like it's not just bunk, bunk, bunk. No, like one bend is longer, one bend is shorter, and it goes down and it continues on the floor, and it needs to be messy sometimes, you know? Especially with stuff that is kind of flooded or like has been has deteriorated in some way, you know? Like you're kind of doing here, right? Like with the moisture. But I think you need to push that a little bit further and just have the moisture like all the way up here, and then maybe moss started growing. You can do a lot of cool stuff, you know? All right, enough about that though. So Let's see if we can wrap this up. Like if we can give like a quick recap of what I wanted to do. So for this one that we looked at, it's definitely like a thumbnail thing. And even going in and like doing like a quick adjustment on the lighting in the scene, like contrast it more, is already gonna help a lot. Even without moving anything about, right? Like even just bringing up like the two focal points that we talked about and just upping those in contrast. Or like intensity in this case. That will already do a lot. And so for this one, it was let's have a look. So background needs a little bit of a tweak, right? Like I spoke about Hannah Watts' portfolio, like have a look at her stuff. It's amazing for that. And then have a look at the texture as well. See if you can push the contrast between the rust and the paint. So texture contrast. And for this one that we talked about, it's more about like the world building itself, right? It's going, again, great foundation. You just have to take like the additional step and like really try to make it your own thing. Yeah, and like how would I say that, like breakup, right? That's the most important thing that we talked about, because you don't want those long railings to run endlessly. You kind of want to have like a little bit of breakup, like a little bit of a kink, like a little bit of human nature going on, you know? Like it's messy, like nothing's gonna be straight. Did we talk about that? Like everything has bevels, nothing is straight. That kind of stuff. Breakup and just more, you know? Like the additional layer on top of it. Because the foundation is really solid. So I'm honestly really curious, because you've learned a lot with this, right? I can tell. And I think everyone in the community could tell. Like when you posted it and when you were working on it, there was a point where Carl posted it and it looked okay, you know? But the textures came out really flat. And then the next post he made was something like this. And everyone was like, oh my god, it looks so much better, you know? So I'm really curious what the next thing is going to be. Like if you're going to do like a small environment or whatever you're going to do. Curious for that, Carl. And thanks so much for posting your portfolio up. I really appreciate that. And I just want to say a welcome to everyone here. These are like monthly portfolio reviews. If you have any question or anything that you want to talk about, feel free to ask in the chat and I'll do my best to get to them. No worries, Carl. Again, thanks, man, for so much for posting your portfolio and just yeah, allow me to do this, man. I appreciate it. Sky is asking, hello, completely off topic. I'm learning how to make props. How do I transition to environment? Because it's so painful to begin thinking on a larger scale and it just seems so daunting. Don't start with a large scale. If you're learning how to make props, that's exactly what you need to be doing. Try to focus on that a little bit first, you know? And then the next thing that I would recommend is maybe make like 3 props or something like that. And just an example could be you made a book. I'm just naming some random props, right? You've made a book. Maybe now try to make like a little table and then have like a chair, you know? And then you have like a little diorama. And that's how you kind of build up the knowledge for like making like bigger scenes or dioramas. Because if you wanna transition from those smaller scenes where everything is kind of handmade, if you want to focus on scope, you need to detach from making everything unique. And that's where you're gonna dive into how to make a trim sheet, how to use tilables to blend materials together, with vertex paint, for example. It's no longer about like just making everything unique, because that's not how it's done, you know, like that's just unrealistic. For a bigger scene, you have to think about like, oh, how can I reuse a lot of this? Instead of thinking like, oh, I need to make this thing. Oh, now I need to, okay, high poly, low poly, bake it down, texture it. Okay, I got another bowl done, for example. Whereas if you're making like a whole set of like different bowls, you could also just do it with a tileable texture, and then use tricks to make it look a bit better than just a simple tileable. I know I'm going over like really broad topics here, but yeah, you don't make a large scale scene in the same way as you would make like an individual prop. So like Dries said, just do it piece by piece. Hey Mo, what's the requirement for a review? Yeah, thanks so much for putting that in there, Scott. No worries, Guy. If you have any questions, there's a couple of things that you could potentially do, right? Like either reach out to me on ArtStation, or join our community filled with environment artists. You know, if you're looking for like people that are basically on the same track as you, if you want to switch to environment art, I'd love to have you. But there are like a lot of resources out there, you know. I'll just send the link, a link to what we're all doing. So if you just want to check it out, and if you just want to like dive into some resources that we've made public, like feel free to just dive in there. Like we have a whole bunch of stuff. I've entered the queue through the site. Please check it if you can. So we're not gonna get through it for today because we're going to Adams's work first, and that will probably be my last one because I still have a meeting around 10. So it will probably be the next time, which let me see, is probably gonna be November the 15th. I know it's a long time, but I only do this like once a month, unless a lot of people sign up, then I'll do more of it, if needed. Okay. With that being said, let's have a look at Adam. Bonk. Oh, before we dive into Adam's work, Peter is asking a question as well. Hello, first time watching live streaming. I have a question. I was wondering if I want to... I was wondering if I want to be a prop artist in the future, is it necessary to learn Unreal? Not per se Unreal, but Unreal is probably the most approachable engine right now. So it is important that you just know a game engine, because as a prop artist, you have to put your stuff into a game engine. Even if you make it in Blender, you texture it in Substance Painter, you still need to get it into the engine to make sure that all the textures and the models all look right. So it's not necessarily that you build entire scenes or do like a whole bunch of other stuff that Unreal Engine has to offer, but you definitely have to get to grips with the part of just importing your prop into Unreal. Antihero! Hello, can you review my work too? It's my first time on your live stream. Yeah, so I was just saying to Dak Maui as well. I do this on like a monthly basis, and this slot is already taken up with 3 people. So the last person for this this session is going to be Adam, who we got on screen right now. But you can add your portfolio to the forum that Scott just shared, and then we'll probably have a look at it in a month, which is going to be the 15th of November. And I'll probably add something to like the YouTube calendar as well, so that you can make sure that you don't miss it. All right, cool. Adam, let's have a look, buddy. With your fancy environment art intern at IO Interactive. It's looking good, man. I mean, first impressions. I mean, I'm going to be biased here because Adam has already been in the community for such a long time, you know? Like, I've seen all of this. I'm trying to think, did I see this? I think this was before you joined, right? Was it 10 months ago? Okay. I just can't remember this one then. But no, cool, man. If I'm an art intern, it's looking good. I mean, these scenes look kick-ass. This is sort of the thing that I was hinting at with if you think about thumbnails, right? Like, this is the sort of approach that I was thinking about, where Adam has made this whole chair, right? But he's not going to show off the whole chair immediately. Like, he's really focusing on like a nice little area where it's like, oh, that's some good shit right here, you know? And then that makes you want to click. That's, I mean, it's very simplified, but that's what it basically comes down to, right? Like, a thumbnail is there to pique the interest of people and then have them click on the thing that you want them to click on. And Adam is doing a very good job here. I would say the only kind of scene that kind of deviates from that is this one, right? But I mean, I've seen the concept. That's because there's not too many options. There's not too many options there, right? Like, that was the concept, so you can't really go and like zoom in on like specific piece because that was the scene that you were trying to build. And it looks awesome by itself. Let's have a look here. So I've looked to these two thoroughly, so I'm just gonna switch it up a little bit. Let's have a look here. Looks nice. It's gonna be such a nitpick, you know, but like the only thing that stood out to me here is everything looks so nice and clean, and then you have these relatively choppy like tuning sticks, whatever they're called. That's the only part where I can really see geometry, right? That's why I'm also pointing it out, because the rest of it looks freaking awesome. Like, everything is nice and smooth, everything is just nicely done, you know? That's also why I'm pointing it out. Oh, okay. The 256. Adam, why? Even the 2K holds up really well, you know? Let's see at the bottom. Yeah, I guess if you're going in for those really close-up shots, you know, like you kind of want to have that 4K in there. Gotta have that LOD 19 in there. God damn it. Alpha's used. Oh, but you... Hold on, alpha's created, but you've just embedded them into the texture, right? It's just going about like, hey, I created like these custom alphas because I had a guitar lying around. That's it, right? Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can say is that some of these shots, like the lighting is just weird. Just compared to the other shots, right? Like I love this shot, like the warm tones that you have. I think it's your video, right? That mostly shows it off. Let's have a look. Yeah, like this shot is freaking awesome because it has like a nice highlight. But yeah, like I'm not a fan of this one, honestly. Doesn't really do it justice. It's kind of like a throwaway, like, I don't know, angle to me. Because the rest of it looks so pristine, you know? It's kind of like the same thing that we were looking at the poly count and like the topology, where it's like everything is so clean that the slightest thing just like irks you. And that's the same happening here, I think, with this shot. It's just, it doesn't hold up to like all the other ones. This shot is awesome. Breakdowns are looking really cool as well. I like the presentation. You could have probably... I don't know. Man, I'm almost imagining like... refresh it. Well, you're doing it live, Adam. Cheater. But I'm almost thinking that it would be so awesome if you made this into like, I don't know, like a magazine thing, you know, that this is like a dual page of a magazine, like a spread of like a full magazine, and that this is where you have like a little bit of text, you know, like the, what was it? Like the Levin LGA, like over here, like a little bit of subtext, and then just like say, I don't know, alphas created here, you know? It's a minor thing, I know, but I would be like, man, this looks like studio photography for like a really awesome guitar, right? So I would almost be imagining it as like a studio, like a magazine kind of thing. But this works. Like the presentation itself is nice and clean, even without like all the graphical stuff that I want to add on top of it, you know. This is more personal taste, like this last one. I don't really think that you need it. It's like, don't get me wrong, it's cool to see where it comes from, right? And that you have the guitar and that you kind of use it to like reconstruct it and like made it in like such an accurate way. But I don't think it's necessarily needed in terms of, yeah, in just terms of like what does it add? Like I don't think it adds too much, my opinion. Like for recruitment purposes, right? Good thing it feels like a magazine ad considering my lighting and presentation refs. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you nailed it, man. Like, it definitely feels like that. Great job on it. Yeah, some small nitpicks, you know? But that's all about it. Posted 8 months ago. Kind of already talked about this. So, I mean... oh, 90 is actually coming up with a good suggestion. Maybe put the ref and some whip in a separate ArtStation blog post. Yeah, that could be a good option. I think... Wait, hold on. Maybe let's check out, because I think Adam did do blog post. I don't know if he did one about the guitar. Final results. Not about the guitar. Everything else he did a blog post on. That's freaking awesome. Yeah, I mean, what's to be said, right, Adam? Is you know what I'm gonna go with this? Like, don't do everything unique next time. The results came out awesome, but like, could have cut out so much time, you know. Clean presentations, nice wireframes, good breakdowns. Look, this is the shit that you want to see, right? Just as like an example, like if you wanna cut out like all the questions, if a recruiter comes at you with like questions or something like that, like you need to be able to just answer them visually and say like, hey, like everything is on here. You know, like, got all the poly counts, got all the texture sets, this is how I created stuff, this is the workflow, be super transparent. And if they then still have questions afterwards, then it's probably about something that you didn't discuss. But like, at least if you then also already have like an interview at that point, you know that it's on like a communal basis of like, hey, look, everything is out there. You know, so they're not gonna have that many questions about your work because they already know that you can handle that. So you're kind of skipping ahead in the process. Like, the more you can do that, the more you can clear up any friction in the recruitment process. Like, the more what's the word? Like, the more applicable it is for a recruiter to just be like, okay, cool, it's going straight to the artists, you know, or like straight into like the interview box or whatever. Work in progress, got the reference board. Yeah. Good stuff, man. I mean, it came out like freaking awesome, you know? Did a really good job on this one. And then the last one that we'll have a look at. Oh, Scott, thanks for helping me out there with like moderating the chat as well. Appreciate that, buddy. Night Street. Scott's in here. Shit. Got a cable tool here as well. Got some pipes, Houdini stuff. Oh yeah, we got the standard like DaVinci Resolve like transitions going on. Love it. Vertex blending. Yeah, I mean, atmospherically, like this is really good, right? Like the only thing that I would say about this is it is a clutter of cables, where I think in the original one it was like a little bit more. Hold on. Like it's a little bit more organized, right? Like just a little bit. Because it's interesting to do chaos, but there always needs to be like a little bit of a balance between it, where you can tell that someone, it's almost like you're hinting at the layers of like someone hanging those cables. In the beginning, someone is like, oh, I'm gonna take care of these cables, you know, I'm gonna put them in like separate gutters and whatever you do. And then cables go, they go out of commission or something happens, and then they're like, oh, let's do a quick fix, and no one ever does like a proper fix. And over time you see just the deterioration of like no one giving a fuck anymore about these stupid cables on the wall, right? It's so stupid. Like you're probably thinking like, what? Like why would you ever think about it that way? But that's how I kind of think about it, you know? Like if you just hang it like randomly on the wall, you don't really have that gradation. Just some small things to think about, you know? You don't want to hear me rant about cables like the entire evening. Nice amount of propping. I think the most interesting thing, and I think we discussed that as well before you were, or even when you were working on it, is I was gonna be really interested in how you were gonna tackle like the street itself, because the street itself has so much character to it, you know? Like you have this in like old London streets, or basically any town that has been around for like a long time. It's just, again, layers and layers of like stuff, right? Like usually you have some cobblestone, and you have some bricks, and then you have like some cement on there, and then you have like patches with like asphalt like right next to it. Like it's a, oh man, it's like a mix and match of like a bunch of different things, right? And you did a decent job in yours, but it just lost some of that character, right? Like it was, I don't want to call it simple, it was like a simplified vertex blend that you did, where you're kind of missing like all the additional layers on top of it. And the reason why I say it is because it is such a big part of the environment too, right? It takes up like a lot of space, if you think about it. Like visually, like it's like a decent chunk. And you're also using it to guide towards like this element here, right? So people are gonna notice the floor. But yeah, otherwise it's a really good scene, man. I like the atmospherics, you know, like you nailed the atmospherics, while still making it yours. Because this is more on like the blue spectrum, right? Like it's blue with the yellowish, but you decided to go a bit more into like the green tones as well. So you're still making it yours, which is what I love to see about a concept as well. Again, I don't want to call it easy, but like replicating things like cuts out like a whole bunch of like your own artistic direction and where you want to take stuff, right? Like I'm always interested to see like people take a concept and then being like, I don't like this part of the concept, I'm gonna make it better, you know? And I think you did that here. Where other parts like the road, like it wasn't so successful, but I mean at least you tried, right? And overall it's still like a really good scene as well. Especially because of this, you know? Like the animation, like all the particle effects, like all the extra stuff that you put on top of it. Like that's the benefit that you don't get to see here, you know? Like you went like the extra mile in like a very environment art way, where you have like a lot of particle effects, you know? Like a lot of yeah, additional layers to create like mood on top of it. So yeah, very good job. Great job, Adam. Yeah. I mean, this is always such a tricky one, right? If it's again a nitpick. I like that you're presenting like you're doing with the previous work, right? Like if you go back to your previous thing here, where you had like all the breakdowns and like all the stuff that you did. Like it's always kind of tricky to find a really good way on to present this. You probably noticed this yourself because this is like a default Unreal scene, and then you kind of made it like, the default didn't work, so I'm gonna try like a darker one because it fits the mood of the piece better. It's still not there, but I mean, it serves a purpose, right? Like, you can't really. I mean, if you're just trying to show things off, like you don't need to go the extra mile on just like some of this stuff. Yeah, I can see that you're trying though. And this is also something that I struggle with, by the way. Just like, okay, I've made this awesome scene, it looks good, and then now I need to strip all the cool stuff away because it works, because it's all put together in a very specific way. Now I need to break it apart and then present it as like individual pieces. It's like, it's always going to be tricky, you know? No, good shit, man. Good shit. Process gifts, got some breakdowns here. Got some grunges. I like that you went really subtle with these as well. Like they do offer like a little bit of variation, but it's not that big of a difference that you immediately can tell, right? Awesome work, Adam. Keep it up, buddy. So yeah, let's do a recap, you know. Small pointers, so for this one, floor and cables. Those are probably like the two biggest points, right? I would say floor definitely first. Cables more kind of like a secondary thing. And for this one, how would I describe that? Just, yeah, okay. So I'll describe that one. Work smart, not hard. Talked about it 1,000 times. Yeah, I like this one. Honestly, like it was minor on this one, you know, like some topology or like the poly count on like the top, right? That's the only noteworthy thing that I could point out. But other than that, I like the presentation, like all the breakdowns, like it looks really good, man. So I'm just gonna keep it to minor stuff. I would say overall, like keep pushing that presentation, right, and those breakdowns. See if you can find like unique ways. I can see that you're trying to do that with the guitar already, that you're trying to like, oh, what if I present this as like the magazine thing, right? That's the sort of stuff that you should be looking at now, because I feel that you already have like a really good grasp of the foundations and like all the fundamentals that you need. And now it's becoming more and more about like actually having fun with it, you know? And then obviously also working your full-time job too, you know? So yeah, I mean, wait, no, you posted on your blog, right? I was about to say I don't want to spoil anything, but like you got it all public anyway. Fabric on here. You're just taking my overpaint? That's actually awesome to see that in here, man. Oh man, this isn't even up to date, Adam. What are you doing? So much has changed already. Oh, thanks for linking us as well, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to how this is gonna come together, though. Like, you made such a great progress on this one already. Giving credit where it's due? How dare I? Sorry. No, that's awesome, man. No, I'm looking forward to how this is gonna come together. Like, this is making, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch of times, right? Like, compared to the beginning where you started out with this one, this has made so many strides in progress. So I'm curious to where this is gonna come out. Go check out the Beyond Extent Discord for the latest update. Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Adam. And yeah, I mean, oh, no, didn't want to do that. I mean, if you want to check out his work, I should honestly do that more often. Let's just do that in here, you know? I don't have an idea why I haven't done that yet. Let me add the other two as well. So we started out with Kristoff, and then we had Carl as well. So if you want to check out their work, you can do so. So we got so we got Kristoff first, who can you find now in the chat, and then we got Carl as well. Go check them all. Oh my god, I can't type. Awesome! Again, thanks so much, Adam, Kristoff, and Carl, for throwing your stuff on the Beyond Extent Discord server to get it reviewed. I appreciate that a lot. And yeah, also, like, this is the first time that we're trying like a more public forum. Like, Scott is doing a really great job of like posting it like occasionally. But yeah, I'm gonna try to see if we don't, like, people from the community are always gonna get like front row access, right? But then if there are no available or if there are open spots when I'm doing like monthly portfolio reviews, I will just add people from the submissions in here as well. Awesome. All right. Let's see, as a final thing, let's see if we got some questions in the chat. And this is a final reminder to ask any questions that you might have if you're here and if you enjoyed all of this. Feel free to just chat away and ask some questions. Gotta be sticking around for like, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes and then I'll hop off. Final reminder to stay hydrated. Good shout. Good question, Scott. When do these sessions happen generally? So I'm trying to keep it consistent on every third Tuesday of the month. But I'll need to set up the next one. If you're curious when the next one is going to happen, I'm going to add... Oh, wait, hold on. You can always check out like our calendar on the website if you're curious when stuff is going to happen like this. I'll see if I can also add it to like the YouTube calendar. I don't know how that works. I've never used it before, so I'll need to check that out. But yeah. See, what means game night in the events tab? Playing games or analyzing games? I think Scott mentioned it, like playing games. Yeah, we play like, I mean, Scott organizes them. Like he organizes like all the game nights where we just get together and play games. It's freaking awesome. Last game we played was it last weekend, I think? Played Deep Rock Galactic. It was awesome. And then it is an interesting idea, you know, like to break down games or like discuss games live as we're playing through it, sort of deal. A lot of people have brought it up before, and I've been thinking about it as well. It's just, yeah, I don't know yet. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna leave it here though, since we have no more questions. So I appreciate everyone for being here, for contributing to like all the amazing feedback and like all the chats. If you want to check out more from us at Beyond Extent, go and check out the website. I'll add it here in the links again. And yeah, just go check it out. There's a bunch of resources on there where we have like a couple of deep dives on texel density, and we have one on trim sheets as well. I'm currently working on like a series from just like a whole article series on like stuff that you probably didn't really know too much about for like environment artists, going from like seniority levels, like your career progression, who you work with on a daily basis as an environment artist, and what the different kind of specializations are, like that kind of stuff, you know. But those will be out soon, so keep an eye out on the website as well. And with that said, I'm gonna peace out. I thank you again for being here, and I'll see you next month. Bye bye.